Alfalla jumped from 9th in the points to 6th, so he's making gains. And I think that the battle for the playoff spots is going to continue all the way down through the regular season finale.
Yeah, and the points are super tight right through there too, so it's going to be fun to watch for sure. So what's up next, Evan, with the Coca-Cola Series?
Well, we're headed out to New Hampshire Motor Speedway, and this is a track that, of course, one of the kind of the original ones on the surface. So it's an older scan of New Hampshire. It used to be on the calendar basically every single season, but I think we didn't have it 2 seasons ago. Or last season, because it has kind of fluctuated just a little bit. But honestly, it's a racetrack that I hate personally driving at, which means I'm going to enjoy watching these guys struggle. That's another one where you can have exciting races when you got to get those really slow center corner speeds, a lack of banking. It's a tough track. I mean, this is going to be one that drivers are certainly putting in a lot more practice at, say, than they're going to be doing for the likes of, Daytona, Vegas, and those kind of racetracks. More expected later on in the year, because New Hampshire is unlike anything else we have on the calendar. And then after that, we get back up to the bigger speeds with Michigan and then Watkins Glen. So, I mean, I love this whole second half of the season. I probably, rambled on about it about 3 times on the broadcast. But, New Hampshire, Michigan, Watkins, Daytona, Darlington, Vegas, and Talladega through the end of this regular season. I mean, there's so many different kinds of tracks in there. 2 of the last 4 races of the regular season are plate races. It's going to be nuts.
It sure is. And as usual, Evan, great broadcast, and you guys are putting on a great show over there. Thanks for coming on and talking racing with us.
Hey, Steve.
I appreciate you guys let me jump in here. We'll catch you in 2 weeks' time. Hopefully it's a good race to talk about.
Hey, Mike, do you mind if I ask Evan a quick question, please?
Sure. Go ahead.
Evan, in the post-race interview, Ray was not happy with Matt Bussa, I believe, and in the post-race interview, he was saying that he was distracted by him, and that's why he ran into the wall. Is that what he was trying to get at? I kind of had a hard time understanding what he was getting at there.
Lap car, right?
Yeah. So I had thought that Ray had gotten into the wall initially just on the exit of 4, but he actually just hit the wall a couple 100 feet off of the corner. And I guess Bussa, I don't know if Bussa was, obviously at the very back of the pack in this one. I guess Bussa made a late dive to pit road. We did take an onboard with him. So if I could go back and find that clip, I think we'd see it better. But I wasn't looking for Bussa initially. And I think Bussa took a late dive to pit road. And Ray said he thought that, maybe he had a monitor go out or something along those lines. He thought that Bussa was going to go into the end of pit wall at Indy there, and that's why on the straightaway I think Ray's looking to his left and he hits the wall. So he didn't just hit the wall because the car in front of him was slow or because he got tight. He just didn't know what Bussa was doing, and it distracted him for that split second that he bounced off the wall. And you can be I guess he feels like that may be the reason, either just the time lost or the damage that he got, that's why partially why he doesn't end up in victory lane.
Got scared and
Gotcha.
ran himself into the wall.
Yeah, we took a replay of it, so it's there somewhere. I'd have to go back and double check. But yeah, I think he just got spooked and that split second caught him off.
Doesn't take much when you're going that fast, man. All right, yeah, it was a good race. I enjoyed watching it, but looking forward to the next one already. We'll see you then, Evan.
We'll see you guys.
Okay. Greg, I think you're next.
So when I think of the UNICEF name here, I think of Halloween time, but looks like the VCO Cup of Nations is going to bring a race for us. Going to their Facebook page, they've put up a going to the iRacers lounge or iRacers.com, iRacing.com page. They have the VCO Cup of Nations minimal information there, and then it goes to the website. But you can have your chance at a glory of a $75,000 or $7,500 prize in July here on the 25th and 26th. Now, I was reading through a lot of the detail here because it's there's a bunch of stuff to understand with this. So basically, you can represent your country in an elimination style tournament of 64. It's 64 racers in 16 of the fastest countries. Williams Esports is involved with this as well, but I guess they're qualifying it with a hot lap session here. Is that what I'm getting at here, Mike?
Well, this opened up. They have a PDF here about it as well. There is a prize fund. Looks like it's 4,000 euros for first place, 2,500 for second, 1,000 for third.
So I'll just read here quickly from the one part here. So in a 2-lap qualifying session, 4 representatives of each of the 16 fastest countries will be decided. Then on the first day of the tournament, the 25th of July, these teams will take on each other in groups of 4. The 10 most successful nations will remain to compete on the 26th of July. 4 of these will be eliminated in the semifinals before the final 6 teams will battle it out for the overall winner over 4 races. Now it sounds like they're going to do multiple tracks and multiple car combos as well.
Yep, all on iRacing, and yeah, it sounds like a pretty involved event. There's all kinds of semifinals and qualifying and different things going on.
So at the bottom here it says a total of 10 different cars from road racing, oval racing, and dirt racing will be in action for this race. The races will be held at 10 different iRacing tracks. The cars and circuits will be announced just a few days before the event.
Very cool. I'm sure it'll be broadcast. It doesn't say anything about a broadcast, but it looks like a big event, so I imagine it will be.
Race Spot will host and broadcast the event.
Oh, there you go. So yeah, this will be fun to watch. It'll be interesting to see who they ended up, in the race. Okay, I got the next one. This is renewing iRacing through Steam. So if you have Steam, you can actually buy iRacing or sign up for iRacing through the Steam service. But if you do, you have to renew through the Steam service. And if you didn't start your iRacing account with the Steam service, you cannot renew with the Steam service. Okay, so they don't mix. And apparently, I saw something on a Facebook page last week where a guy claimed he renewed his iRacing account on Steam for like some ridiculously low price. It was like 80% off or something. And it turns out that he just basically, gave his money away, that he doesn't get his renewal that way. iRacing put up a big banner on the front page of their member site about it as well.
Well, I wonder who got his money, that even though it was discounted. It went somewhere else.
I think it went to Steam, and Steam will eventually have to give it back to him. iRacing wasn't going to honor it, is basically what I understood.
I think Steam's policy is not to refund. I think they might give credit, though.
Well, you guys probably don't use Steam, because but I do. I use it through my headset. VR headset runs through Steam, and I do see invitations to join iRacing and such like that. But I've always done it through the internet, so I'll just keep doing it that way. Seems like that's what they want you to do.
Yeah, and then support Susan Flint from iRacing. She posted in the forums about it. She said if you try to renew an iRacing account through Steam, you need to contact Steam. And so, but she basically said what I said before, don't mix them up.
So quick poll, how many of us have a mustache at the moment?
Beard and mustache.
COVID beard.
I shaved because of having to wear the mask all the time. Yeah, the question is, on the new characters on the classic cars, will there be a mustache? And apparently at some point there will be. They've scanned several different body types and skin tones. And somebody asked if there will be a mustache, and Steve Meyer says, we're working on it.
Now, if you look at the pictures that Greg Hill put up on Twitter, he's got about a dozen different faces here. and quite a variety. In fact, if you look closely on some of them, they even have the shadow of a mustache, like they need to shave maybe. But what do you think? I think I could pick one of these that would probably pass as me.
Yeah,
Maybe.
I think so too. Yeah, you can find somebody close enough to yourself, I believe, in this. But you gotta have the mustache, man. So many people are getting on that car wanting to be Dale Earnhardt from 1987. It's gotta happen.
Yeah, with the open face helmet, it's really visible for sure. So it's kind of cool they're doing this. I kind of wonder where they'll implement it. Will it be like in the paint section where you paint your cars, or how will they? How do you pick it? Or trading paints?
Yeah. Yeah, I would imagine it's something that you can access without going to trading paints. But yeah, who knows?
I bet you it'll be in the paint booth part where we have the cars, the paint suits, and the helmet part. They'll probably just add facial to it.
Okay, pretty cool. What about PJ and PB and J? No, PJ1 to iRacing? Oh my God.
Yeah. So Brett Baldeck posted on Twitter, when is iRacing going to add PJ1 compound as a truck option? And Steve Myers actually replied. He said, we are actually working on the tech to potentially do this. And yeah, I think with the way that they can do dynamic tracks, it seems like it's something that would be very feasible. But would it be an option when you set up a race, or how would that work?
Yeah.
I don't like this idea. I've never liked it in NASCAR as a fix. I don't think it'll be implemented properly here if either make it a one groove racetrack or something you can't race on at all.
A lot of the rumblings that I hear in race chat as well is there's probably still plenty of work to be done on the damage model and the current tire model as well.
Well, the thing with this is I'm okay with it as long as it's matching what NASCAR is doing. Like if we go to Bristol and it's a one groove racetrack in real life and in the sim, and then they use the PJ1 to make it a two groove racetrack in real life, then yeah, I think we should have PJ1 in the sim and make it a two groove racetrack, just because I want the grooves and the type of racing to be the same. I want it to be similar.
Yeah, I tend to agree that if NASCAR does it, then it should try to be in the sim as well. My question is whether NASCAR should do it.
Well, that's a whole other story. But as iRacing as their whole thing is they're trying to mimic, what's going on. So I like the idea. I like it. Steve Myers has this on his radar and he's working on it. Because if NASCAR's doing it, then iRacing should be doing it. So kudos. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. Yeah.
It's like they're trying to evolve the sport, right, Mike?
Guess so. We got a big article here with Mr. Ray Alfalla, a full interview with a website called overtake.gg. Never heard of it, but they have a long format interview here. And it's basically a Q&A. And of course, Ray does an outstanding job representing iRacing, our sport, NASCAR, everybody involved. He is a true champion. His answers show that. And it was kind of neat to read.
He's become like the ambassador for iRacing, and I think he's done a really good job with that.
Well, as four-time champ, I guess he's earned it, so.
When you have those credentials, some people are going to listen when you talk, right?
Well, when you get a big magazine that want to interview somebody, who are they going to call up,
So I guess with we had a problem here that's Lewis Stone had developed here. I guess he's just putting it out there to the community. He started an IMSA race from the pits, and as he left the pits, he was already a lap down on the first lap. So I don't. He kind of just gives that as the details. He didn't really elaborate. Some of the guys were trying to get some more detail out of him in how it was, and I guess this was a problem before. So Greg West had chimed in. He thought that this had been taken care of, but they want a replay file showing what happened. So they're trying to find the data of maybe to figure out what happened there, or if it actually even took place with what had happened.
Yeah, and so if you could help them out with a replay, they're looking for one. If this happens to you, you pull off pit road and you somehow are already a lap down.
Yeah, from what I understand, if you start the race and your pit stall's behind the start-finish line, that's when you would go a lap down as you pass the start-finish line. But I think that problem wasn't there if you started in front of the start-finish line. So I guess they just have to clean that up.
Yeah, it's probably just something minor in the coding, trying to figure out, like you're saying, where it is on the track. But I know some guys want to, they start from the pit to stay safe and stuff like that. But you got to get used to running with people too. So, one thing, it's nice that they allow us to do this, but try and not start from the pit if you can. That would be my suggestion.
Think about it this way: how many real life racing series encourage you to start from the pit? I mean, that's not acceptable in NASCAR. You can't start from the pits.
No, not at all. I mean, it seems like just not qualifying would be the better solution.
Totally agree with you there.
Well, even though you get 24 hours to make up for it, you probably wouldn't want to start from the pits at the 24-hour spa event either, which is coming up soon. Surprisingly soon. I didn't realize it was already this time. We just got Le Mans done. It's going to be another standard 24-hour spot, and look at this. There's 3 time slots. Didn't we talk about that just last week?
This is just a reminder. Yeah, the race is still happening.
I suggested 3 time slots instead of 2.
Oh,
They've given their they've given a 2-hour time limit in case something happens Saturday morning now, David, for the third one.
So they listen to both of us. Yeah, that's interesting. That's a good idea. Go ahead and split it up. It's at Spa. It's going to be on the endurance track, so it has the later start. Got to have a D license 4.0. The time of day, or the sim official time, will be 3 p.m. So you'll be starting right in the heat, driving through night, and ending in the heat. And it does mention, like I said, it's in the endurance pits because they have to have somebody more stall set up. They start way later down the track, I believe after Eau Rouge, or as you're going down to Eau Rouge instead of before turn 1, which is called La Sauce.
so not this weekend; it's next weekend.
Mm-hmm. It's the 11th. Yeah, so I have to start practicing that.
Did you find somebody to go out with, or to go on the race with, David?
I didn't realize it was so quick. I haven't even asked yet.
Yeah, I'm gone that weekend, so.
Yeah, and I'm out this weekend. I'm heading out in the morning. Warm up 30 minutes. A lot of the standard 15-minute qualifying for laps. Weather's dynamic, sky's dynamic. Qualifying is attached, and it's splitting by iRating. Got to have at least 2 drivers. 100 incidents is the stop and go limit, and 20 every time after that. So it won't be like last time when there was no limit.
I hope for iRacing's sake that these 3 slots work well, because I don't want to be talking about the same problem that we had at Le Mans.
Yeah, let's hope they fixed it. Hopefully learned something, and but I don't think you're going to have the traffic as you did for Le Mans. It's going to be much less.
Now, David, here's another thing so it did get extended, the registration, from 60 minutes from the before that instead of the 30 minutes.
Yes, it did.
And that'd be one way to kind of alleviate it. they're not talking about being in the beta UI this time, are they?
Not yet.
When we get
Yeah,
closer.
I
You'd
was
think
wondering
they'd
if they're
put it
going to
on
push
it.
that.
I don't think it was on the post the last time. I think it was something they came out with later.
It seemed they were pushing the beta for that last Le Mans pretty hard. So I'd be surprised if they didn't do that again.
They're trying to work out every bug they can, so the more that they can get people to use that beta, they're going to.
Yeah, but at the same time, they said, "Hey, everybody use the beta," and then the beta failed. So they won't press everybody into beta this time.
Yeah, and you don't want to test on a big event like that whether it's working, right?
Yeah, but that's the only thing that draws more people is the Daytona 500. Other than that, those events are the easiest way to get the amount of people that show up.
Yeah, there's not really another way to test the infrastructure. You're not going to get, what is it, 2,000 or 3,000 drivers to show up for a beta test.
Okay, I got the next one. We got a YouTube video from Donut Media. They're a big YouTube channel. I don't really know them, but they have 3.7 million subscribers. But they did a video called All the Insane Drama from Quarantine E-Racing. And I sat down and watched it. It's 17 minutes. And it's a detailed history, basically, from the spring's events in iRacing. The NASCAR Pro Invitational, they talked about how that came about. He was critical about the resets that were given to the drivers because it led to the people not racing seriously, some of them. And then he went on to discuss, the Formula One side, specifically Lando Norris and, everything that happened with him, in the Indy 500 race and getting wrecked out and all that kind of stuff. He also reviewed the Bubba Wallace rage quitting incident, the Monza Madness race with the Kyle Larson incident. They talked more about that IndyCar challenge with the Simon and Landon deal, as well as Oliver Askew and Ferrucci at the end of the race. Don't forget that one when they wrecked each other at the line. And then finally, Daniel Abt from the Formula E, who got fired for hiring a hired driver to race for him in the sim. In summary, he was disappointed that some real racers didn't take it seriously, but overall, it was a lot of positive stuff. There was a lot of visibility on the real drivers, which he said brought out more personality that we didn't know before. By being able to see them in their cockpits and see their faces and that kind of thing has really, piqued that personality side of it. And it was overall a positive video.
Yeah, I think Clint Boyer probably got himself a TV deal out of that.
Yeah, they're working him.
So, do you guys think after all this is all done and everything, do you think that this all these bad things that had happened is that detracted from iRacing more than you would have thought going into this?
We've talked about this though. It kept iRacing relevant even if it wasn't like bad news was still some news, right? So the bad is outweighed way more by the good here. And the amount of subscriptions they got from it, I don't believe iRacing has been tarnished in a subscription base wise. I believe it might be tarnished in the fact that calling it sim racing over a video game kind of thing, that topic is kind of still on the edge, but I think subscription wise and getting people to believe that this is something that you can do and have fun with, it definitely did its job.
Yeah, it definitely kept the drivers relevant and accessible on television. My biggest question would be how the non-iRacing fan thinks about iRacing after all this.
Well, I can tell you that the real drivers didn't help us with that image. When you have Simon Pagenaud Indy 500 winner, intentionally wrecking Lando Norris and stuff like that.
Yeah, because he thought it was cool. Yeah.
I think if they're NASCAR viewers and they were in and out with this broadcasting that they did and all the different series, they weren't the market. Some of those people aren't the market for what they're trying to do. The iRacing's market is the person that wants an experience, not a person that's just a casual viewer, right?
I think you're right there. Yeah. But I was hoping that they get a little bit of crossover to like the Coca-Cola series, where there is really good racing and excellent drivers, and that can be just as exciting to watch as a race on Sunday afternoon.
See, I think you're exactly right there, Brian. They needed to show what the people that spend their time, like, it'd be like putting the eNASCAR guys is like having Landon Castles and William Byrons and Garrett Smidley and all them racing all up the front all the time, the way they raced, not the way that the things were going in the back. That's what the eNASCAR series would have been like. If people would have understood what the eNASCAR series was and would have gotten a race in there, you're totally right. They would have seen that this isn't just a wreckfest thing. Like it just, that's where they fell on it, where they could have promoted that series a lot better. And I don't know if it was a marketing decision not to, or they dropped the ball.
Yeah, because when these actual televised races, I assume, are still going on at the end of the season for the Coca-Cola series, I'm hoping that people don't just say, well, I know what it's like. I saw all the guys in NASCAR doing it, and it was kind of a joke.
I think NASCAR will present it, effectively, and you'll get NASCAR fans tuning in for those races, I hope. And I think overall the image is positive versus negative, but it went both ways for sure. I think if I had to do it all over again and I was the iRacing king, I think you got to have stronger admins up front at the beginning of when the NASCAR boys started racing, because they let them get away with murder, and then that set the tone.
Yeah, you're right. It did kind of turn into a wreck fest at that point, and the way that the cautions were thrown and stuff like that just didn't make sense to an actual NASCAR racing fan.
Right, but you got to remember everything came together real quick. The coronavirus thing was very fluid at that time, and I don't think people had time to plan this out effectively. Everyone just did what they could do, and it was what it was. And all right, let's keep moving. We got a rallycross exploit apparently.
Yeah, and I should see if this actually works. I don't know if they're at that track this week for any of the rally cars, but it sounds like the Pro 2 light trucks, they were having a problem at Phoenix. So a driver can cut the dirt section that goes through the parking lot on the asphalt and only receive a slowdown penalty, but the penalty is still not slower than taking the dirt portion of the track. Apparently they've experienced this on a bunch of different cars. And apparently the actual slowdown, by the time you if you just drive normal, the slowdown goes away. So I don't know. It looks like was it Michael Barrett? He's asking for a video to show it for a staff member.
Interesting. Yeah, I think the slowdown has to be higher than it is to stay on the dirt. That's for sure.
I don't know if I've raced this one on the dirt rally side yet. I haven't raced all the rally tracks yet, but it's the short course too, so it's not really a long lap.
Well, it's actually kind of hard to stay on the dirt, for me anyway, on this, because there's pavement on either side. The dirt's fairly narrow, and it's easy to go off of it, obviously, if you're like me. And there are slowdowns there, but that's the point, is the slowdown isn't enough to...
So what they're gonna do, and I can just see it, they'll just put the tire barriers around it. That's what they should do. Just make it so that there's an object to hit that'll screw up your lap.
Well, I remember when they first released this track, there were tire barriers everywhere. And if you look now, they're all gone.
So you're damned if you do iRacing and damned if you don't?
Yeah, we'll see.
Our next item is Logan Clampett buying a sim rig. Pretty nice one from Sim Seats.
He said, decided to join the club, and he put up a picture of his order form, I guess.
Yeah, and then if you look at a few of the replies, you can see some of them already set up. It's definitely a nice looking rig. I don't think that's an 8020, is it?
No. It's like a heavy sheet metal, kind of metal stationary kind of rig.
Yeah, and the guy that on that most recent reply, Tom Morano, he's definitely a VR user.
Nice rig for Logan. Let's jump into this week's big event, the Firecracker 400, put on by Landon Castle and Parker Kligerman. And what they called the most anticipated show of the summer. It's been a multi-week qualifying and racing event, all leading up to this Wednesday night. Now, I watched a good chunk of this before we ran last night at Indy. I didn't see the end of it, but I was impressed. I was, man, it was some good racing. But before the race, we had some preview videos. What do you guys think of the videos that iRacing put up? We had even Winston Kelly doing some audio work on it. They splice in some old, Firecracker 400 stuff from the 80s, and what a mix.
Yeah, they do excellent work on that kind of stuff. It's really professionally done.
Yeah, they're showing pictures of Dale Earnhardt and Darrell Waltrip in the garage, and then they cut to the virtual 87 Cup cars. They show 344 people were entered in the event, whittling it down to 43 that will race, and one will win.
It's like, to be honest, it reminds me of some of the Days of Thunder footage, the way that they've shot the images too, right?
It does. It almost has, even when they show the text, it has that Days of Thunder look to it. Yep.
Yeah, Days of Thunder / Fast and Furious, I think, modern twist to it.
It is early morning on Florida's East Coast, but already the temperature 85 degrees.
And there was another one on Instagram the day of the race. I don't know if it was the same video or a different one, but lots of promotion by NASCAR, iRacing, and everybody for a private event. That's what's so cool about it. But Brandon Cattell won the race. And like I said, I enjoyed the broadcast. They had this cool thing where they always had the Barney cam where they show the flagman every time they go back to green. That was kind of cool.
Superstar.
Yeah. And they also had Kim Kuhn as social media reporter, and they would show her up in the corner, Kim Kuhn, and she would be reading what, Freddie Kraft is saying on Twitter about the race, and it really gave it a NASCAR tie-in. I loved it.
She's the one from the Blaney's podcast, right?
Right.
Yeah, and she does garage reporting, or not? She does pit road reporting for MRN as well.
Okay, that's what I know her from too. Okay.
And Justin Malillo, he put up a tweet that you found, Greg, of quite a good Photoshop job.
That was probably the when I first came across this, I'm like, the Photoshop, the way he felt and the way, it just kind of like in that picture there, it's like he thinks he's on top of the world there, and that's, to win that race and to take his picture of his car and Photoshop it over Dale Earnhardt's car in 1998 when he was going down pit road and every member was high-fiving him. It was just, I think I titled it Photoshop, when your Photoshop's on point.
It was on point. Yeah, you got Brandon Cattell's car, like you said, photoshopped as he's getting high fives from everybody on pit road. What a cool moment for Brandon, I'm sure. Heck of a race. What I was impressed by when I was watching it was, man, they're side by side, but not just for the first few laps, but even after 5, 6, or 7 laps, they're still side by side at Daytona. Now, I've raced those cars at Daytona, and you could go side by side for a lap or two, but when those tires give up a little bit later after that, you can't run the outside, or at least I couldn't. And these guys were doing it, and they were wheeling those cars. Trust me, that is the hardest combo to drive on the service.
Yeah, I've raced that car too, and it is a handful.
I just can't believe overall, like, I can believe, but over the whole process of this, and Landon and everyone involved with Landon did a great job with this event. But once again, like, in iRacing with the sim, the cream rises to the top, right? It always rises to the top.
Yeah, there were tons of Coke drivers in this race, but you also had William Byron, Dale Earnhardt Jr. were also in there. William Byron ran very well. I understand I think he led the most laps, but he got caught up in one of those late cautions.
Like, it's awesome that they get that Landon did this, because he was one hell of a promoter on all this for the whole last couple of weeks that this has been going on.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, Justin Melillo put up on the racingexperts.com his write-up about the Firecracker 400, basically like a race review with pictures and text and stuff. Great if you want more information. And so here's the final call. He says, as Bryant moved back to the bottom, Martinez was there and both got sideways. Bryant saved it but lost his momentum. Cattell regained his, passed him back, and drove across the stripe to win the entire show, as they were wrecking behind him. Yeah, it was a pretty neat event. I can't wait to see what Landon's got up his sleeve next. He's really hitting on all cylinders here.
So we did have a patch come out this week. At a glance, there's a couple of new tracks for AI and a lot of road car balance of power adjustments. And that's mostly it.
Yeah, pretty quick patch. One thing I noticed on audio, it said jet flyover volume was increased, so you can hear it, I guess.
Yeah, I think something in my settings is making it not happen, because I'm not hearing it.
Okay. Yeah, lots of minor tweaks.
Yeah, there was a glitch with the render INI file with virtual reality, but the overwhelming majority of the list, if you go down, there's no need to read every individual change, but they made a lot of adjustments to the tire models and balance of power to many of the road cars. They left the Porsche alone, thank goodness. The 919, that is.
I think they added a set for Pocono too for the Cup cars, if I'm not mistaken.
A week too late.
Right, that didn't make sense.
Well, they know what they need to fix after the week's over, right?
So at this time of year, David, you're a tank top kind of guy, aren't you?
More like sleeveless, but yeah. If it's just because during the summer I'm not working, so I'm just coming home. I go work out first and then hang out the rest of the day.
Well, it sounds like Steve Myers is trying to get NASCARism to wear this shirt. I guess I don't. Does it say what track this photo was taken from? But the fan in the track has an awesome iRacing tank top in the virtual world here, and I don't understand why they wouldn't market this and try and get this out there. People would buy this. I would buy this.
Take my money, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And it sounds like NASCARism will do the same thing. And he's wondering why they're standing in quicksand, though, in the picture. I don't know where this is. I'd love to know where this was taken.
Looks like they're on the beach or something.
Now, I've looked at the fans. I've gotten in a camera and kind of looked at through the crowd in detail, but I don't think I've ever seen this guy.
It looks like a really, like, that is an awesome design shirt. Like, it would be, you would stand out in any, if you wore this to any NASCAR race, anybody that's and a fan of iRacing would definitely know exactly what it is.
Definitely.
So it's basically a tank top of the iRacing logo, like with the driver, the white driver with his arms in the air. His arm is like literally one of the parts of the shirt going up over your shoulder, and it's like a giant logo made into a T-shirt.
It basically uses the whole shirt.
Pretty cool looking.
I don't know if you guys have been on their actual merchandise website for iRacing, but it's pretty underwhelming. This would be their best looking shirt by far.
That's one thing that they haven't seemed to try and take advantage of yet. Maybe they've done research and there isn't really a huge market for it, so they're not. I mean, it's expensive to build up inventory that might not sell, right?
Yeah, but you would think they could sub that out to like a third party contractor who takes care of all that stuff, and just NASCAR just gets a little of off the top.
Why wouldn't they, like what you're saying? Why wouldn't they work with NASCAR and sell it on their store? Like
Good
that
point.
even, right? Why, if NASCAR was so into it, like that shirt or that logo that they had for the cup racers while they were in quarantine, that would have been a shirt that probably sold with the iRacing logos and stuff.
Yep. Well, speaking of merch, I found a merch website. It's teespring.com, and the name of the sub-site at Teespring is Sim Racing Merch. And if you go there, you'll actually see T-shirts. We have a NR 2003 T-shirt. You got another one that says Semi-Pro Fake Race Car Driver. Now, I think my wife said that would be the one for me. I also like the other one that says, I am the caution. There's another one that says, put it out, with a big yellow caution flag on it.
I'm just here for safety rating.
World's okayest sim racer. Alien.
Let's take it easy on turn one now, guys. That's got to be in there. If it's not, they missed one.
I don't see that one.
Yeah, they missed that one.
Problems was another one. And they got us a mug, too. You can get a mug. It says, I'm just here for safety rating.
Mike, I know what your shirt needs to be. It just needs to say Mike check.
There you go. Yeah, get your merch.
Who likes the BMW? Anybody here race the BMW?
Been in it a couple of times, but most of the time I prefer to be in that Ferrari.
Well, looks like they're coming back to Spa for on the 5th of July here, the 120 Cup race, or the 120 Cup is what they're calling it, of Spa. It's going to be at 1300 GMT. It's 120 minutes long, and it needs 2 drivers with $4,200 in money and prizes. So, is this coming this weekend? It would be Saturday? Sunday.
Yeah, it'll be Sunday morning about the same time as NIS.
So definitely get out there and enjoy Spa in that car.
Yeah, you got a little promo video to go with it they put up. I think we talked about this last week, but yeah, it's this weekend, and boy, there's money on the line, guys. Get it.
And another thing that you can jump in on this weekend is a sprint challenge, eSport Sprints Challenge. It's for the Porsche eSport, and it's for open to anybody that's not currently in the Tag Heuer eSport Super Cup. It's running in the Porsche Cayman GT4, and it's like any of the other super sessions. You basically can run races all week, and then the top so many point scorers get to run the big race at the end.
Yep, and that's also our reminder about the Porsche Esports Super Cup does start this week at, I think, Nürburgring, and looking forward to seeing those guys run. I'm going to definitely be following that, and Brian, maybe you can help me. We can review those races as they go through them. I think it's a 10-round series, and it starts this weekend.
And another thing in this item, we have a tweet from iRacing. There's 1,500 cash on the Esports Sprint Challenge given out every week.
Yeah, I saw them promoting it on on their Twitter. And they're trying to get people to get involved in this, and they want some more drivers, obviously. Okay.
Well, it's happened. We finally witnessed the AI doesn't know what they're doing out there on the track. Samuel Raymond posted a very interesting video. I guess it's just an AI race someone's broadcasting, but
the broadcast, I think, is kind of a joke. I mean, he added the broadcast to
so
make it feel like a real race, right?
I had it on low, so I didn't actually hear what was going on because I was just watching it. But at Watkins Glen, when you go up through those S's, one of the cars crashes, and it just is on, or two of the cars get into each other, and it just goes on from there, and they keep piling in, and it's like no slowing down. And staff member Alex Saunders posted on in the forums here, goes, disobeying local yellows. So obviously he thought it was pretty funny, just the amount of wreckage there in the formula car there.
You know, I think they've actually made an achievement here because the AI is driving just like they do in IMSA every race now.
Well, that was some, what do we call it, ARCA braking?
Yeah, well, that's what happens in IMSA. Nobody slows down for the yellows.
Because it's an opportunity to get spots, right?
Yeah, and there's never a full course caution. Anytime you give up, you don't get back.
It's
right. Gone.
That's
what
right.
What a wreck.
And he shows all kinds of different replays of it, too, of the various cars getting involved. And it's kind of one of those things, like you said, up to the S's there at Watkins Glen, where it's almost a blind spot, and you don't know that there's a car wreck there, but you're at full speed, so there's no way you're going to miss it.
So I got further in the video here. So he was in this race, and he got in the wreck too. So it wasn't just. So he was just as bad. He's way back and into this wreck, and he shouldn't have. It's quite funny.
I've seen several. Seriously, that looks like the beginning of several IMSA races I've been in when they were at Watkins Glen just last week.
I love watching these videos, though.
So the AI piles up into a big pile of rubble, and then they just keep piling in as cars come around the track, right?
It's like they're not registering anything in front of them on the line, in the racing line.
What's the AI stand for? Artificial idiots, right?
There you go. That'll be perfect to match up for us. All right, let's keep moving. We're getting into housekeeping notes. Don't forget show notes. They're included in the description of the podcast as a link. It's actually a PDF on a Google Drive where everybody can go and look at everything that we're talking about. The other cool thing I've realized is you can be in that Google Drive and do a keyword search like pedals. And you can find every time we've talked about pedals in these documents, click them, it comes right up. What a resource. Don't forget we're in regular rotation at the Performance Motorsports Network. And with that, we'll go to hardware software.
In hardware software, first we have Travis Brown on Instagram showing off his new rig. It's a T1000 from Racing Simulators. It's about almost 8,000 euros in price. That's up there, and it looks like it should be motion, except I watched a couple of his Instagram videos and I didn't really see much motion.
Yeah, it's definitely motion. This is the Pro Sim U. And if you look at the first picture, you'll see the bottom underneath the seat goes left to right.
Okay, it doesn't have lateral. I guess I'm used to seeing the lateral slip.
Right.
It looks like he's got Fanatec pedals on there. Maybe the DD1 or 2 on there too.
Nice Sparco seat, nice triple monitor setup.
Yeah, he's got a video as well.
I'm sure he's enjoying it. And Bobby, I think, might be proud of his wire management.
I liked his lighting and that he did in his room with, he's got the walls lit up like a purple, and he's got the rig kind of glowing green. He's got some interesting lighting effects. I also try to do some lighting effects in my office, but he does a really good job with it. Nice looking rig. When I saw that, I was impressed, but that's a lot of money.
So you mentioned pedals. Mike, you've got really nice pedals, but what about these that we're showing here next?
Well, the pedals, we've talked about these 100 times, but I can't stop talking about them because other people are talking about them on Facebook and on the forums. Because people are asking, what are the best pedals to buy out there? And there was a thread somewhere, so I grabbed a couple links, and sure enough, the one that people talk about is simtag.eu. And if you look up there, the price is 3,012 euros, so 3,000 euros, and they're hydraulic. It's called the Ultimate Black Edition. They got the Tilton pedals, hydraulic brake, throttle position sensors by Bosch, Cosworth dust and moisture proof connectors. But a lot of people were saying those are the ones.
And they're more expensive than the PC that's probably running them.
Yep, and then another one was Racework, but you spell the word work WERK.com, and they have some pedals as well that are up there, 1,680 euros. They are sold out. But they're obviously hydraulic as well.
This next one looks wicked.
Yeah, this is called a Yawl VR motion system. It was sent in by a listener, Brian McCubin, something like that. I don't know, but it was a review that I found on Boosted Media YouTube channel. What it is, it's a 360-degree of yaw motion system designed for VR. It won't accommodate a monitor, so yeah, it's a VR only, and it's priced around $1,500.
It reminds me of a big green egg.
Yeah, you just take a big green circle and cut it in half and put a seat in it. It's basically what it looks like. There's a little foot pedal at the bottom. I don't know if you could even put brakes on it. And there's an attachment you can use for a steering wheel. And there's some videos on the website. It looks like a violent ride that would probably throw me clear out of it. But it's an interesting looking system.
Looks like the seats from Men in Black.
Yes.
I've had a better look at it though. I'm worried about handling any of the stronger drives because it's not very sturdy.
Yeah, I don't think it would take a direct drive for that for sure. To me, it looks like it would be more ideal towards like a flight simulator or something like that, or maybe a toboggan simulator.
Yeah.
But the racing video does not look like it would be a fun experience.
You could simulate that you're at the fair in the tilt-a-whirls.
Exactly. Yes.
It looks like a saucer snow sled that you sit in. You know, the big round shiny one.
Yeah, you can do a simulation of Christmas Vacation with Chevy Chase running down through the woods.
It's unique. Every time you think we've seen every freaking motion rig design in the world that you could think of, you see something new like this. Like, wow, where did this come from? But yeah, I don't know if it's ideal for racing. Even though they have a video of a guy racing with one, it looks pretty violent.
Yeah, I think I would get sick in that.
All right, nice find, Brian.
So now we're going to go on to our next, which is probably we've talked the most about this direct drive wheel because it's taken the longest to get to us, right? So VRS, the Direct Force Pro wheelbase, is going to be shipping in the US in the next couple weeks. So what they're going to do over the next coming days and weeks, they're going to start sending out email invitations to the US reservation holders to place their orders. It'll expire within 48 hours if the order is not placed, and the reservation will be put on hold. And then the next reservation holder on the queue will get it. So if you guys get your thing from VRS here and you're waiting for your wheel if you're one of the reservations, make sure you keep an eye out because you only got 48 hours to do it. And it looks like they're going to be ramping up the production, so they won't have to do this, and you'll be able to just purchase by the end of August, September without them falling behind in orders.
Yeah, when you click into their website where you can buy it, which is $799, and then that's just the base and the power supply, and they have a mounting bracket at $49 and a hub adapter at $49. So that's the only three things they sell. They don't have a wheel to go with it.
They must know that I'm from Canada. I got NA for the price for everything.
And notice, one thing I noticed is the design of the wheel and the power supply. This power supply thing, they have a couple cables between them, is massive. It's like a full rack mount, big thing that you got to put somewhere. That's one thing with my DD1. I don't have anything like that.
Well, are you looking at the actual computer? There's an actual computer tower there.
Is that what I'm seeing? What's
Yeah,
hooked to the... okay, so that's why I'm confused.
The power supply may be that smaller box next to it.
I was actually contemplating getting one before I wound up going with that Fanatec podium wheelbase. And yeah, I can't imagine still waiting for that. I mean, because that was 3-4 months ago I picked that up.
Yeah,
Well, you
still be
didn't
waiting.
have to go through the back order with that though.
Yep. All right, I want to talk about a H shifter. This one is the Frex.com, Frex. And this thing is a beast. We talked about this a long time ago, but it's Japan, I think, and it's 49,800 yen, I guess you would call it. But this thing is freaking cool the way it looks. I mean, what do you guys think? It's got this real mechanical look to it, but it's got these buttons that I have no idea what they do. What do you think?
I've looked at this one, and by the way, that's about $600 US. It looks pretty neat, and it looks like, I guess you would mount it kind of sideways and have to reach out a little. I'm not sure about the mounting for it either. And I do want to know what those buttons do.
That's what I was going to say, David. The mounting looks like it's too far away from where you're actually putting all the stress on the H pattern, where it would move around and jostle around as you're doing it. I don't know.
Yeah, there's a clamp on the opposite side of where the handle is what you're saying.
Right, and it looks like it's about a good 6 inches away from where the actual shifter is.
Yeah. Pretty cool looking shifter, go if you're into the H shifter now with the Cup cars potentially going to paddle shifting. I don't know if I'm worried about having an H shifter. I kind of gave up when I gave up the G27. I gave up my H shifter.
I gave up my A shifter when it constantly kept messing up on my Fanatec shifter. So I just switched it to sequential mode, and I'm just used to that now.
So you use the actual sequential shifter on the H pattern, just put it in
Yeah.
sequential mode? Okay.
Yep, and it just I still like doing that better than using the paddles when I'm in a stock car. Because if I use the paddles to move my brake bias around, which I actually do change a lot throughout a run.
And that's why you're in the top split.
Barely.
All right, what do we got next, David?
We have an SRS shake kit. This comes out of simracestudio.com. And it looks like it's kind of like a bag that I guess you strap onto a seat, or you actually can sit on.
Where you put it over the back of the seat? No, it's a cushion.
Yeah, it's a vibrating cushion.
Yeah, you sit directly on this thing. It's like a haptic pad, I guess is what they would consider that.
And it's got 6 shakers. I'm wondering how comparable it would be to the G seat. I don't know if it pushes far enough out or just shakes.
I don't think it pushes.
Yeah, I think it just vibrates. In the website, it compares itself to, the difference between this and like using a butt kicker vibrating LFE system, and they just mentioned that it's akin to a 5.1 surround system because it vibrates in different areas as opposed to your whole rig shaking with like a butt kicker would do.
Very intriguing. $329.
Yeah, that's not too expensive. My biggest concern would be the fact that I'm always running something on my computer keeps running out of resources and causing me to lose frame rate after about half a day. So I don't know if I want to install any more software.
I know that Steve Thompson from the OBRL uses a system similar to this. I think it was Realtius is the name of the company he uses, and he's a big proponent of that and thinks it works real well.
Yeah, but you got to remember that he was one of the only people to actually get a product shipped to him. There are many, many people who bought that product who never got it.
You're right, and actually one of the other members of OBRL just got one delivered after over a year. So he had pretty much written it off as a lost cause, and all of a sudden out of nowhere he got a shipping notice and it showed up a couple days later. So I don't know what this deal is with that company, but maybe they're starting to send out some product now.
I would rather buy from Sim Racing Studio. Now, we've talked about them before. These are the guys that do the wind machines and all that. And they have this new product, they call it the SRS Shake Kit Plus. I'm intrigued, but for $329, you just kind of throw it on your seat and you sit on it and plug it in and good to go.
Well, one thing you don't throw on your seat is this rig. I don't even know where to go with this, Mike. This is obviously a Tony.
This would be a Tony rig, yep.
Review. So anybody that plays their PlayStation, think of your controller and think of it just mounted in front of you where your wheel would be. Maybe, I don't know, say a foot, maybe a foot and a half away, and taking, I'm going to try and describe this, I guess, again. Anyways, taking the controller or taking probably it's a rod that's attached to a steering wheel that as you turn it, turns the analog sticks left and right so that it steers the car or whatever you're doing for it. And then these 2 long metal arms are connected to the back of the controller on the triggers for the acceleration and braking. I mean, it's quite an ingenious thing to do. I'm guessing the reason he built this is because he had all this laying around, because it looks hard and complicated to do. It looks like it works, but the video is it's interesting to watch.
It is something. It's all welded together in metal. Obviously, the person who made it's a welder, but functionality, it works. I mean, he turns the wheel, it moves the joystick to the left, to the right. He hits the pedals, and it actually pushes the triggers on the PlayStation controller in a functional way, and very ingenious.
It's so when somebody jerks around in a race and says, "Are you racing with the controller?" What do you say?
Sort of.
I'm just trying
Maybe.
to figure out what his thinking behind this was, because the PlayStation or the Xbox wheel isn't an expensive wheel to get nowadays. So I'm just trying to. It obviously had to be just, someone challenged him to do it or something. I don't know.
Could have been a science project, or it could have been those materials were cheaper for that person if they're in welding than getting the wheel.
I mean, great job and great thinking on it. It works, and it probably makes him happy if it helps him race and stuff. But good job.
Absolutely. All right, I got the next one. This is a company review of a website, Woojer, WOOJER.com, and they have a strap-on tactile device, audio device that shakes you. They have two of them. They have the strap. It says for gamers and music lovers on the go, and it's basically like a belt with a big old belt buckle, and that belt buckle apparently is some kind of bass transducer that will vibrate your body to the music, so to speak. And they show somebody like running and jogging with it, kind of thing, or listening to music, and they have it strapped around their waist. But the cool product is the one that's called the Vest, and it says for gaming at home, VR, movies, and audio professionals. And it kind of looks like a life jacket vest, like you'd go, in the ocean with or something, or water skiing, and you strap this thing on. It might even look like a bulletproof vest, and you plug it into the computer, and it's got the tactile transducers all throughout the vest, on the front and the back.
So it's basically, instead of a subwoofer, you have a subwoojer.
A Woojer, yeah. So it's 6 patented haptic transducers with a frequency response between 1 and 200 hertz. There's 2 on the sides, 2 in the back, 2 in the front. It has a Texas Instrument built-in headphone amp. You have a headphone output. Pretty freaking cool. It has batteries, or you can plug it in. Weighs 4.5 pounds.
Expensive.
How much was it? I didn't see that.
If you go to the buy now, it's the pre-order for the vest thing. I might got this wrong, but in Canadian dollars, it's hold on, maybe it's wrong here. It's just their Kickstarter here. Oh, sorry, it's not that. It was the wrong price. So it's 100.
Here you are, 329 is what I see.
329 US. There you go. 399. There's a whole bunch of different
Packages.
options here. Yeah. That's not too bad for a vest, though. I guess 329.
Well, yeah, Kickstarter scares me off for sure. It's Indiegogo, actually, but same thing.
They've got 20,000 backers for the Kickstarter.
Yeah, the way they describe it is like if you're at a concert or something and you're standing near the actual speakers and it's vibrating you inside, basically.
Well, if you've ever been, like, for me, I've been in a lot of my life, I've gone to car meets. Like if you got those big sound systems, they try and put the girl with the long hair in there and try and get her hair to stand up. It's like that. It's the amount you'll feel your body feels, right?
Be interesting to see how it feels like when you're in a car driving in iRacing. Like, what would you feel, and would it feel natural? I don't know. All right,
That is the challenge. Sorry, that is the challenge with almost so much of this hardware. I guess I'd want to get to a convention or something and try some of it out, because that's a big. Some of this stuff is a big investment before you know what it's really going to feel like.
Yep. Okay, let's keep moving. Let's go to results next. NASCAR iRacing Series. Pocono, let's finish up last week. Tom Dreiling, he ran Thursday fixed at P5. Good run for him. Friday Open, we skipped because what? Oh, we had the K9 race, the charity race. Boy, our cars looked good. What did you guys think about how he ran?
They looked good at the beginning of the race.
Most of the cars did.
My car was still kind of intact, if holding on by duct tape and stuff is considered intact.
I ran up front a bit and mixed it up in the top 5 and made some moves and felt pretty good about my showing, but got caught up in some wrecks that weren't my doing. But I had a good time.
Yeah, it was fun, but we definitely none of our cars finished clean. I had to come from the back to the front 2 or 3 times, and then I was coming up at one point, and somebody just made a mistake and took me out.
I just seem to be in the wrong spot at the wrong time, trying to get through the field. Mike, you made some moves, and I was watching you in the front there, trying to do what you're doing and judge what you were doing and compare to what line's moving. But every time you got in a line, there seemed to be something that stopped that line or whatever. I don't understand how that race went with the way that things were going on the front. No one seemed that they could push past the leader, but it was a good race. I mean, I think I was the top finisher from the iRacers Lounge podcast, guys, but that was only because most of you guys were on your lid coming across the line.
Yeah, the second line was not staying in the second lane a lot. In fact, when I did get finished off, the second lane slid all the way up, and I took it 3 wide, and the guy just came right back down into the second lane, even though he was all the way up by the wall.
I'm sure you guys put this, I want to thank all the OBRL guys for showing up, and the radio,
Burning Rubber Radio.
Burning Rubber Radio. Sorry, I was drawing a blank there. The Burning Rubber Radio for putting it on, and all the people that showed. Shut up, David. And just the fact that we were able to, the podium broadcast, I went back and watched it afterwards. That is one of the better podcasts to watch. Or one of the broadcasts to watch, sorry.
Yeah, they do a great job, and it was fun. I had a good time. I screwed up. I got wrecked, and I had to use my reset. And then when I came off pit road, I spun coming off pit road and hit the inside wall. And that gave me a little damage, which kind of messed me up. I felt kind of embarrassed. Let's keep moving. Sunday Open. David, you got wrecked. You were taken out by an impatient hothead.
Yeah, with the tire situation at Pocono, some people might get stuck out with old tires, and yeah, even if you leave enough room and you still get run over. What do you say? Destroyed both of our races. I finished somewhere, kept running, but yeah, just got taken out early in lap 18 when I wasn't even trying to race them. If I'd have realized so few cars were going to not take tires, I would have gone in the second time around, but you don't get that choice anymore.
Okay, and then Brian, you ran with Tony Rochette. You got P30.
Yeah, it was my first race in open setup. and I won the pole, which
All right.
was shocking. Yeah, and by a lot, by almost 7/10 of a second. I figured something must be going wrong. So, but I did stay in the top three for the first 25 laps. I was taking it easy, making sure the setup was comfortable for me. I'm not used to running open setups, and all the fixed stuff is always really tight. So I was just being really careful. So around 25 laps in, I went in to get tires, and they shuffled me back to the middle of the field. Around 15th place, I started moving up with the fresh tires. I got up to 8th place, and coming off of turn 3, a car a couple spots in front of me got loose at the exit of 3. He ran all the way down to the pit lane wall, came all the way back up and smashed the car in front of me, and I wound up T-boning somebody, and it wound up blowing my motor out.
Damn. Tough break there, but a nice pole. Good way to start out. Tony Rochette got a P11. He said semi-fast, got caught speeding in pits twice, once for losing it out of 3, and second was just on the exit after serving the first penalty.
I was actually right behind Tony when that happened. He got loose like the guy who wound up taking me out, but instead of going down and come back up, he just went right into the pit lane at 100 miles an hour or something like that, and that's how he got his penalty.
Okay, and then Greg P9, but overheating with 8 to go.
Yeah, one of my problems I found in this race is I was getting through the tunnel turn so much faster than a lot of guys, and trying to judge it and get through some of these guys, and then they're going too wide going in there, and it slows everybody down. And I ran up on one of the guys and crunched the front of the car, the nose in, and I guess it was enough where it was bringing me up around, in the last caution we had, we went to green with 8 to go, and I was running, and I thought, okay, it went up to like 280, 282, and then stopped there for a second, and then once I got behind the cars, it kept creeping up, so I was at 290, and then so basically I was letting out down the straightaway to keep it from going any higher than that, and I did that for those last 8 laps. I did it for 6 or 7 of the laps, and then the last lap I raced, and I made up 2 more positions. I think it was in like 11th or 12th there. 2 or 3 more positions I made to get into 9th without trying to blow up the car.
Yeah, you probably could have got more if you didn't have that heating. All right, let's go to Indy. Boy, it's the Brickyard, I guess. It's full distance race, right? Wednesday fixed. Tom Dreiling got P22, running 5th place off turn 4 on the last lap. Got bumped into pit lane. Oh, God. Got caught for speeding, put down to the last car on the lead lap. Ooh, that's tough. On a long race like that, too. 3-hour race. Wednesday Open, David, top split, P15.
Yeah, started off very slowly. I had a bad early tire strategy because I listened to somebody who's like, "Oh, save your tires." And as you just heard when Evan was on the show at the beginning, everybody was taking tires if they were more than 10 laps old. So that first stint, I went ahead and topped off so that I wouldn't be stuck at the front again. But I didn't take tires, and I was running like 31st. And if the cautions had not fallen my way, I would have paid for it. We did have a caution though, right as the leaders were starting to kind of get close. And then on even tires, I worked my way back up into the top 20 on the long green flag runs. Then the carnage started. I avoided several of them, made it up to 8th on one of the last restarts. Like 2nd and 3rd place got into each other, and it killed everyone. The entire track was blocked. And so the final laps, everybody from 10th to 20th, it was a race to see whose broken car was less broken.
Yeah, you were just like disabled almost, but you stayed in it. You didn't pit or anything.
I didn't pit or anything. I finished 15th with 1,800 RPMs on the dashboard.
Crazy when the leaders wreck like that. Yeah, that was crazy listening to that. But the pit strategy, like you said, it did catch you off. You did what I told you to do. I think Tom also said that too. But we're like, stay out, save your tires for later in the race. But it almost bit you.
Yeah, in this fuller length race, 8 tires for the most part was enough, especially if you had a green flag run. In fact, the one we finished later, I think I had 4 sets left.
All right, I got a P15. I was not comfortable at this track in this set. I don't know what it was, but I was up on the wheel the whole time just to keep the car under me. Tires only played a factor at the beginning. Now, in my split, we didn't pit on lap 10 when there was a caution, and the entire field stayed out. So it was just opposite what happened with David. But I ran more like 20th all race, but I got a top 15 due to attrition, so I'll take it. I'll probably run tomorrow night and see if I can better it. Tom Dreiling got a P4. He said long run, only 2 cautions. He started P22, worked his way to the top 10 by the first caution at lap 35. During the next 3 green flag stops, was able to work myself into the top 5. Caution 10 to go. I'll take a top 5 at a 100% race. He loves the full length races. Wish there was a season for it. Ooh.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, that's a long season. Thursday Open, David, top split, P12.
Yeah, and it was actually a lower strength of field, so it didn't pay as good a points as the 15th. I think I might have gotten an 8th or 9th. I had a top 10 car, but on the second to last run, I got distracted by the guy in front of me and dinked the wall in one of the short shoots, and that definitely hurt the speed for the rest of the run. Held on for 12th.
Can't hit the wall. Tony Rochette, P6. He was pissed about this. He said, second best car all race, led laps, but one car had it that much better. 2 to go in second. Caution comes out, waited all track for a car to pass me. He gets past me just before I pit and still get a black flag for passing. WTF.
Tony really wants to get that double for the Cups and Indy cars, doesn't he?
Well, it's this is a big event, the Brickyard 400. I think he got his Indy 500, so he was trying to get his Brickyard. He was close.
That would be very impressive, though.
Let's talk official. I ran NASCAR Legends. Darlington. Oh my God. I went into practice. I couldn't keep it off the wall. I couldn't even get a lap in. And then I jumped in the race and I didn't touch anything. P4, baby. Man, I feel so confident when you drive that car and you get a top 5 at Darlington. Oh my God, it was something. I was so happy.
If you can drive that car at Darlington, you can drive anything, anywhere.
Well, exactly. That's my point. I'm so confident after that. But all right, and with that, we'll get into final thoughts. Brian, we'll start with David Hall.
Watch my stream, twitch.tv/mixmage.
Don't do it.
Oh, come on. It's with 1X.
Yep, Mixed Mage. You got a lot of cool stuff on your stream. I was checking out the other day.
Yeah, I reformatted everything to try to get the cobwebs out, get everything running smoother. Most of it's running smoother. There is some piece of software that is leaking memory, and the sound and the Oculus start to have a lot of jittery, laggy issues after about a day or so. A reboot seems to clear it. If I look on Task Manager, can't tell what it is. Clear and resetting almost every piece of software doesn't seem to clear it either. But overall, it's running good. I've added JRT spotter to the stream, even though I can't see it in the VR. But it's fun. It's exciting. I'm pretty much regular now in the top split. It's weird because I can remember back in the old days, every NIS race, it was kind of like, all right, who am I going to see? You know, is it going to be this person and half the names I'm not going to recognize? Now it's literally almost like league racing. Everybody knows everybody up there.
Very cool. I love your JRT visual spotter on your stream because it's almost like red alert, a car is about to go around David, and it kind of gives you that hey, something's about to happen. And sure enough, the thing lights up every time you're around a car.
Yeah, and you can see if I'm as we're side by side, which car has the momentum.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I love it. I race with it all the time. Greg Hectus, final thoughts.
Just getting ready for my league race here tonight at Indy, in the iRacing Stock Car Association. Looking forward to it after last week getting wrecked out 5 laps in by some stupid moves, I guess, in it. But yeah, so if you want to come watch, you can follow me at Frozen Cactus, Frozen with 2 O's, Cactus with 2 K's, and see what I can do. I feel pretty confident this week about it, and we'll see how it goes.
All right, get it. Brian McCubbin, thanks for coming on the Team Tifosi and joining us here in the iRacers Lounge. We look forward to having you every week. And what are your final thoughts?
I'm just really excited to be here. This is a really great experience. I need to. I'm going to be work on my social media stuff. I'd like to add a Twitch channel and all that kind of stuff to be a little bit more accessible. Unfortunately, not unfortunately, but right after this show, I'm getting ready to go on vacation, so I'll be out for the next week. I'm sorry to leave you guys after 1 week, but I'll be back right after that, and I'll be excited to be back again.
Yeah, we're happy to have you. Enjoy your vacation. My final thoughts, wow, I got my Asus bezel-free kit with optical microstructures, they call it. And I finally bit the bullet. Tony talked me into it, and damn it, Tony, I spent $110 on these. But what I got was 2 pieces
Peer
of plastic.
pressure.
Yep. And 2 little 4 clips to hold them. And the instructions, there weren't really any. They gave you a cutout of a protractor kind of thing that showed 120 or 130 degrees. And you're supposed to, I guess, move your monitor to match that. Well, I did it thinking, okay, I'm going to install it like it says. And when I did that, it spread my triples out really, really wide, with really bad FOV. And I was like, I can't do this. And I tried it that way, but it still didn't work. It didn't hide the bezels at all. And so I just put the FOV back where I normally have it, where it's right. I stuck them on there, and I just sat in the seat, and I moved them back and forth, little by little, until I got it just right. The whole thing about them is it's very, very temperamental. You got to position it just perfectly. And the other thing I noticed is it might be perfect with your left eye, but with your right eye, it's a little off. So when you look at it with both eyes, it kind of blends together, so to speak. But it works. I ran with it last night. The way I have it positioned, the bezels are pretty much missing. It does kind of give a zoom effect for the stuff you see behind it, but so far so good. I kind of like it. Is it worth 110? Probably not, but I'm going to keep it. And looking forward to that. I'm also kind of thinking about my next purchase. I'm going to start doing the butt kicker thing. So
I've had those for a little while now, and I think it's a really invaluable input that you don't get from without having it. When I run it without it now, it doesn't feel right. Everything feels like it's not everything feels off, if you will.
yeah, Tony Rochette recently got his set up, and he's doing some stuff with that, and so it kind of sparked my interest again. So we'll start looking at that. But yeah, if you want to try these bezel things on your triples, go for it, man. If you got the right angle, it does work. And with that, we'll see you on the track. Later.